Brock Purdy, 5 years, $265 million. It kicks in starting 2026, $53 million a year. It seems like there's going to be guaranteed money through the first 3 years, and he has a full no trade clause. Dad, what do you think?
Okay, I have two takes on this. One, the positive take. I want to praise John, Denise, and Jed for moving heaven and earth to retain a quarterback they think is the franchise quarterback. In the past, people have criticized the Yorks as being cheap. Clearly, they were not cheap. They went out and did what they thought was right. They even changed their whole ownership structure and let other people in for 6.5% or whatever, apparently to get the cash to give the guaranteed money to Purdy. So I'm praising the organization for being generous, not being cheap, and going after what they believe is correct. On the other hand, I disagree with them that Purdy is their quarterback of the future, meaning of the long-term future. And I want to be very clear about this, Iggy. I have no issue with the money they're going to pay him. It's their money. It's not my money. They're very wealthy and they can do whatever they want. My issue is 5 years. I do not believe, and look, a lot of you people watching will be sore at me. It's okay. It's just my opinion. And I'm not doing it to be a jerk. I don't feel he's a good enough quarterback that you would commit your organization to him for such a long period of time. I think you're committing yourself to not a mediocre quarterback, better than that, but not much better than ordinary plus. That's what I would call him. And before you talk again, I know I'm taking a lot of time. Yesterday, I spoke to a former coach who knew Bill Walsh very well. And I said, how do you think Bill would feel about having Purdy as his quarterback? This former coach said, look, Bill would accept him if that's all he had. And Bill could make him a pretty good quarterback, but he'd always be looking for something better. That's what the key thing the coach said. Bill, if he had Purdy, would always be looking for something better. What do you think, Iggy?
I mean, what stuck out for me is like, why did you have to give him a no trade clause? I understand if Josh Allen asks for a no trade clause or Patrick Mahomes, it's one of the best players in the league. You're not going to want to trade him, so sure. But you might want to trade Brock Purdy one day. Has he done enough to get that? I mean, when the details came out, it was Friday. It just looked like he got everything he wanted. Now, we don't really know, but it's $55 million a year for the first 3 years. Those are the ones that are guaranteed. That seems like what he wanted. Only one quarterback gets more than that, and it's Dak Prescott. He's an outlier. And a full no-trade clause, I mean, wow, the Niners are awfully generous.
Yeah, and what's interesting to me, Iggy, and you're smarter than I am about stuff like this, how did he deserve a no trade clause? I mean, did Joe Montana have a no? They traded him. I mean, who is this guy? It's almost like he has pictures of somebody. Why would you give him everything he wanted when he's, from my point of view, they could have signed him, given themselves more flexibility without this no trade clause, because maybe in 2 years or 3 years, they might want to trade him. So I thought that was extremely generous, bordering on gratuitous from the point of view of the Niners. And Iggy, I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, again, maybe there will be more details that come out, and I guess we'll have a different perception or our perception will change. But when it came out, it just seemed like they're treating Brock as if he's Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert. I mean, someone who's done it over and over and over again. When really Brock had that nice cameo performance in 2022, but it was a few games as a backup. He had a great 2023 on a great team, and then a real down year last year. It's a guy who's had one really good full season, and they gave him a no trade clause. I mean, it's not like he's a future Hall of Famer.
No, Iggy, he's
Fred Warner didn't get a no trade clause.
Right, they just extended him, right, Iggy?
And he's a future Hall of Famer.
A future Hall of Famer, yeah. I want to say some other things about Purdy, and I don't want it to seem like we don't like him, we're dumping on him. The reason we're talking about him is the details of his contract just were reported. So he's current. He does many things very well, Iggy. He allegedly processes very well at the line of scrimmage before the snap, although he did throw a lot of picks toward the end of last season. But let's give him credit for processing. He can be very accurate over the middle. But there are things that he can't do. He really does not have a long game. He cannot throw long very well. Now, people write to me all the time on Twitter and say, well, Joe Montana didn't throw that well long either. He threw better than this kid. You cannot compare this kid to Joe Montana. It's ridiculous. Joe Montana, you can make an argument, is the greatest quarterback who ever lived. This kid will never be the greatest quarterback who ever lived. Joe did not have a great long game, but he had a better one than this kid. Indisputable. The other thing about Purdy is this, and Iggy, you know it. He shrinks the field for the defense. And I want to explain to our viewers what I mean by that. If you have a quarterback with a big arm, Josh Allen, you have to defend deep because you're afraid that he's going to get the ball over your defenders. So you spread the field. And there's a lot of room. No one's worried about him getting it over the cornerbacks' heads or the safeties' heads. So you can come in more, shrink the field vertically. But more than that, you can shrink the field horizontally. Because even though he has a horizontal game and a good one, which was Bill Walsh, he had a horizontal game, he doesn't often throw outside the letters. So
numbers.
I'm sorry, the
okay.
numbers.
I got you.
I'm an old man.
I got you.
All right. And as you pointed out yesterday, he's, in a way, he plays on a tennis court, not on a football field. Could you elaborate on that?
I mean, Jimmy was the same way. The difference is that this guy is much more mobile and younger and maybe a better leader. But when it comes to passing the ball, it seems like the same limitations. They can throw the ball about 20 yards down the field proficiently, and they can throw the ball to the numbers. But when it comes to really driving the ball beyond that, they don't really have the arm. It floats, and it can get intercepted because it's hanging in the air a lot. So Kyle isn't calling those passes. Fortunately for Jimmy and Brock, the system calls for an endless barrage of 15-yard play action passes over the middle, which, I mean, most people have the arm to make that throw. It's not a long throw. That's what they can do. But beyond that, it's a struggle.
Iggy, what are the downsides of having a passing game primarily over the middle?
Well, the downside is that there's a lot of bodies there. So, yes, play action, you can get the linebackers to run up like they're defending a run, but you got to get the ball over their head and in front of the safeties. And when things go wrong, it's often an interception. If you're throwing deep outside the numbers, if things go wrong, you hit the hot dog vendor out of bounds. It's a less risky throw.
Okay. Is there risk of injury if you're continually throwing it over the middle?
There's that too. I mean, there's just so much traffic there. Where did Brandon Ayuk get injured last season? Over the middle. I mean, because he's running like parallel to the line of scrimmage with his eyes back on the quarterback, and there's a safety bearing down on him from behind. That's exactly how Brandon Ayuk blew out his knee. And it's not like the defensive player did anything wrong, or Brock did anything wrong, or Ayuk did anything wrong. It's just the kind of things that happen every once in a while over the middle.
It seems to me that sometimes when he throws over the middle, Purdy is delivering the ball to the receiver at the point of impact from the defender.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like if defenses know that that's where Purdy's most effective, and he doesn't quite have the arm to threaten them outside the numbers and deep, then they're going to pack the middle of the field, and it's going to be even more congested and dangerous for the receivers.
Okay, another question. The fact that Kyle's offense features a lot of passes over the middle and not a big deep game, okay? Like Buffalo has a big deep game. What do free agent wide receivers think Well, this is our interpretation. What do you think they think when they look at Purdy if they want to come to the Niners?
Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. The app is really easy to use. To make a lineup, all you have to do is pick more or less on a few players' stats. You can play Prize Picks in over 40 states, including California and Texas. Best of all, Prize Picks will give you $50 when you play your first $5 lineup. Win or lose, you'll get $50. Basketball season is here, and there's no better time to get in. Just use promo code COHN, COHN, and download Prize Picks now. I think certain wide receivers might see him as a bad fit for them. Like, why would Tyreek Hill want to play for the 49ers? Why would Tyreek Hill want to play with Brock Purdy? I think wide receivers who win deep and outside the numbers would look at Brock Purdy as a bad fit, and they'd probably feel like their numbers would go down here.
Like the kid from Pally High, I forget his name.
Devontae Adams.
He wouldn't want to come here.
I don't think so. He didn't like playing with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Right. And so this is Jimmy. He's better than Jimmy, but he's in the Jimmy mold. And he hated playing with Jimmy, Devontae Adams, right?
He did. And it's funny, you talked about Kyle Shanahan's system. It's really has been considered cutting edge for so long, really for like 10 years now. And I think what's interesting is the Eagles have the opposite of it, like pretty much the antithesis of the Kyle Shanahan system, and it just won the Super Bowl. So with Kyle, he likes that pass over the middle because it's efficient. It's 15 yards. It's a high percentage throw. It's not far. It's just the downside is it's risky and you can get intercepted a lot. It seems like there's a lot of turnovers in his system. With Sirianni, it's a very safety first simple system. There's a lot of running stuff. They run the quarterback. They have all these different plays in the run game. But when it comes to passing the ball, it's like RPOs, which are quick little play action looking things from the shotgun, which are like 5-yard passes. So it's a series of little dinks and dunks. And when the defense really creeps up to the line of scrimmage because they're running the ball so well and throwing so many accurate short passes, then you see them. They take deep shots down the sideline, but they almost never throw over the middle, even though it's wide open in today's NFL because they don't want to turn the ball over. It's just their philosophy.
I got it, which is the exact opposite of what Kyle does.
Right. And so when there's a turnover on the 49ers, interception, Kyle can just throw up his hands and be like, man, it's the quarterback's fault.
Right.
Yep.
Iggy, what does and I'm serious about this. Let's say some things that Purdy does do well.
If you give him a really good team, like 5 good receivers and some protection, which a lot of quarterbacks have this kind of supporting cast, he'll know what to do with it. He'll get the ball out on time. He'll find the open receiver. He will put up really good numbers. If you ask him to be Josh Allen and Joe Burrow and carry a team that's limited, I don't think he can do that. Most people can't. Jared Goff can't do that. But if you put him on a good team, he can definitely rise to the occasion.
I agree. He's an efficient quarterback. He's a good leader. And Iggy, he's very brave.
Yeah.
He's very brave.
Mm-hmm.
Very brave. And he scrambles very well. It's a good feature of his game. But he cannot carry a team on his back. Patrick Mahomes can and does. He's never going to be that kind of quarterback. He's going to need better players around him than Mahomes has around him. Do you agree?
I agree. And maybe, you'd say the same thing about Jalen Hurts. Like, look, he's not the best player on his offense. They have Saquon Barkley. And that's true. I just think that the running element that Jalen Hurts gives the Eagles kind of puts him ahead of Purdy. I mean, Jalen Hurts will give that offense 50 first downs with his legs and 15 touchdowns with his legs. That's pretty beneficial.
And Purdy won't do that. Purdy's not a runner. He's a scrambler. He can get away from trouble.
Right.
He can get away from pressure some of the time. But that's different from being a weapon.
I want to say one thing about money, and then we'll move on. I know you don't want to talk about it that much, but we have been talking about this for months. And you said, look, you wouldn't pay Brock Purdy $40 million a year. You think this is all way too much. So,
yes.
So I just want to point out what they could have done, and we talked about it, have a quarterback competition, make him actually earn it again, beat out Mac Jones, and then they could franchise tag him next year and the year after that. If they had done that, they would have paid him roughly $100 million for the next 3 years. Instead, they're giving him $170 million for the next 4 years, and 165 between 2026 and 2028. So they really negotiated against themselves. They could have had him for much cheaper if they wanted to play hardball, but they didn't want drama.
They didn't want drama, and they believe in him. Now, again, these are the figures that are being reported. We're only going on what's being reported. We have no inside information, but we're going on the available information. Is that fair, Iggy? We're going on.
Well, whether or not we have inside information, we'll talk about that next. Okay.
But no, wait. You brought up the point of competition.
Yeah.
So I want to repeat this. I have a real problem with what the Niners did, committing to Purdy the way they have, which is all in with Brock Purdy. They have another quarterback who may or may not be as good. Let's say he's not as good. Why wouldn't you have competition in training camp? And you say, oh, well, it hurts Brock's feelings or it demeans Brock. Who cares? This isn't a psychiatric office. This is football. Football is all about competition. And what's more, the football world is a cruel, cruel world. If you get beat out, I don't care who you are, or I don't think you should care who you are. Why? What do they lose by having a competition in training camp? I think it's all to the good. And then you pay him what you pay him. And then after that, if he's really good, you franchise him. Mm-hmm. I don't understand why they were at such pains to please and support Brock Purdy when it would have been better to have better for the team and the quarterbacks and the coach to have competition. Iggy, I don't understand the concept of not doing it.
Yeah, and like they're going to pat themselves in the back now for avoiding drama, whatever that means. But let's say week 1, they lose to the Seahawks and Purdy doesn't play well and Darnold does. You had Darnold on your team. You didn't have a competition. Now he's in Seattle in your division beating you. I mean, the whole contract could look like such a bad idea immediately if he loses. That's kind of what happened to Brandon Ayuk. They won week 1, but he had 2 catches and people immediately started looking at that contract like, that was a huge mistake.
Iggy, when Bill Walsh had Joe Montana and Steve Young, you think there was drama?
Yeah.
I mean, Iggy, the whole team was drama around those 2 guys. And it lasted for years. Even now, from what I understand, if Steve and Joe are at the same function, bump into each other, they're polite. They don't hug each other. They don't love each other. Not the way people feel about Brent Jones. You know what I mean? Bill not only had drama, he wanted drama. What the hell is wrong with drama? You want competition and you want drama.
Do you think when Joe sees Eddie, he says, you know what? I'm still mad at you because you hurt my feelings by bringing Steve Young on the team and making me compete?
I think Joe loves Eddie.
Yeah.
I think they're like brothers.
Right.
I think they love each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. So this whole idea of trying to keep the temperature down in training camp, I think you can have temperature. It can be 105 on the thermometer. Who cares? I want to see competition. I want to see fireworks. I want to see drama. I want to see the coach have to make a decision.